Hey everybody, today we are going to review lines in a coordinate plane. So we'll start with a couple of lines here and determine whether these two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither of those. In order to find out, we need to check on their slopes. So remember, a slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So for this line here, I've got a slope of, and it doesn't matter the order, so I'm just going to go 0 minus 4. 4 minus 0 would be just fine also. 0 minus 4 over. Since I went this direction with the y's, I've got to go the same direction with the x's. 1 minus 7. So I get negative 4 over negative 6. Negative over negative is positive. And 2 goes into both of these. 2 times and 3 times. So I get a slope of 2/3. Okay, now my second line, 0 minus 6 over 7 minus 3. So we get negative 6 over 4. Negative over positive is negative. And 6 over 4 is 3 over 2. So if the lines are going to be parallel, they would have to have the same slope. These are not the same slope. They are not parallel. If they are perpendicular, the slopes will be opposite and reciprocals. One's positive, one's negative. Those are opposite signs. 2 over 3, 3 over 2, they are flipped. So these are opposite reciprocal slopes. These lines are perpendicular. Okay, and you can write out the word or use that symbol. Okay, next set of lines. Slope is y minus y, 1 minus negative 2, over x minus x, negative 3 minus negative 7. So that's 3 over, and then so that minus negative is plus. Negative 3 plus 7 is 4, so I get a slope of 3/4. The second line, negative 1 minus 4, and 2 minus 8. So that's negative 5 over negative 6, which is 5/6. These are not exactly the same, so they're not parallel. They are not opposite signs and reciprocals, so they're not perpendicular. These are neither. Graph a line parallel to the given line passing through point P. So we're going to have a line something like this, but it has to be parallel to this line. So this line here has a negative slope. So M equals, it's negative because it's falling. And let's count this slope. It falls 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's our rise, and the run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 4/7. Okay, the parallel line, so the slope of a parallel line is also negative 4/7. So I can go down 4 and right 7. That's going to take me pretty far off the graph. I can also go up 4. That's going to take me 1 off the graph. That's not a big deal. And left 7. So right about there will be my next point. So there's my line parallel through point P. Next is a line perpendicular through point P. So the slope of this line is positive. So here's a triangle, and I'm going to count the rise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the slope of this line is 5/8. The slope of a line perpendicular is the opposite reciprocal, negative 8/5. So from point P here, I'm going to go down 8 and right 5. and this line will be perpendicular to the given line. So that is now a right angle. Graph this line. In order to graph this line, we need the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is 1/2. The y-intercept is -3. The y-intercept is the starting point, so I'll start down 3. And the slope is positive 1/2, so we'll rise 1 and run 2. And I'm going to do that as many times as I can fit on this graph. So there's up 1 and right 2 as many times as I can. Now down and left as many times as I can. Down 1, left 2. Okay, graphing as many points as I can helps me keep my slope all the way through the graph. And then on both ends, I need arrows to show that it goes forever in both directions. Write an equation for this line. Okay, so we are going to use point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so what I need is an m, and I need a point for x1, y1. So the slope, I know because it's falling from left to right, is going to be a negative slope. And it looks like it falls 2, so there's my rise. And the run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -2/8. I should always simplify if I can, and this one can be simplified to -1/4. Okay, and this point looks like the easier one to use. So this is right 1 and down 1. So I've got a point of 1, -1. And that is my x1 and y1. So for the equation of the line, we'll start with y minus y1, which is -1, equals m, which is -1/4, times x minus x1, which is 1. Now we'll distribute that -1/4, and minus negative means plus, so y plus 1 equals -1/4 x, and then negative times negative is positive. 1/4 times 1 is 1/4. And the last step to put this into slope-intercept form is to subtract 1 from both sides. So we get y equals -1/4 x, and then 1/4 minus 1, so 1/4 minus 1 is -3/4. So there is our equation. All right, next we are going to graph 2x minus 5y equals 10. So we're starting in standard form, and I think the easiest way to graph this is to set up a t-chart, and we're going to find out when x is 0, what is y, and when y is 0, what is x. So if I put in a 0 for x, I have 2 times 0 minus 5y equals 10. And 2 times 0 is 0, so I can divide by -5, and I get y is -2. Okay, so I can graph the point 0, -2. And then when y is 0, I have 2x minus 5 times 0 equals 10, and -5 times 0 is 0. So I can divide by 2 and get x is 5. So I have the point 5, 0. Okay, now between these 2 points, I can go up 2 and right 5. And I'll just go a couple spots off the graph to keep a nice slope. And then I'll go down 2 and left 5. Okay, so here is the graph of my line. Okay, when you graph, make sure you fill up the entire graph with points and put arrows on both ends of your lines. Next, we're going to write an equation for a line. We have a point that it passes through, so that's going to be x1, y1, and it's going to be parallel to this line. So we need to find out what is the slope of this line. And the slope is right here. The slope is -3. So then what is the slope of a line parallel to that? Well, parallel lines have the same slope, so the slope of a parallel line is also -3. Now we're going to use point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. y1 is 3, m is -3, x1 is 4. Now I'll distribute. Y minus 3 equals -3x plus 12. And I will add 3. Y equals -3x plus 15. Now we have a very similar skill here to the one we just did, except this time it's perpendicular. We still have our x1, y1. And we still get our slope from this line. The slope of this line is 2, which is the same as 2 over 1. The slope of a perpendicular line is the opposite reciprocal. Opposite means we change sign. This is positive, so the perpendicular slope is negative. Reciprocal means we flip this, so we get 1 over 2. So the opposite reciprocal slope is -1/2. Okay, so we're using y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 again. So we have y minus, and y1 is -1, equals m, which is -1/2, x minus x1, which is 2. Now I can distribute this. Minus negative is positive, so this is the same as y plus 1, equals -1/2 x. Negative times negative is positive. 1/2 times 2 is 1. And now I can subtract 1 from both sides, and I get y equals -1/2 x, and these actually cancel. So that's all I need to write. So right here would be like a plus 0, but I don't really need to write plus 0. So y equals -1/2 x is my equation. And last, we're going to look at a graph that represents joining a country club. First, we're going to write an equation of the line. So to write an equation, I need the slope. M equals y minus y. 7,500 minus 6,500 over x minus x, 5 minus 3. Okay, so m equals 7,500 minus 6,500 is 1,000. 5 minus 3 is 2. And 1,000 over 2 simplifies to 500. So there is the slope. Okay, so now I'm going to use that along with one of these 2 points, and I'll use this one here as my x1, y1, just because it has smaller numbers. So we have y minus y1, which is 6,500, equals m, which is 500, times x minus x1, which is 3. So we have y minus 6,500 equals 500x minus 1,500. Okay, now we will add 6,500 to both sides. Okay, so when we add that, we've got negative 1,500 plus 6,500 equals 5,000. So we get y equals 500x plus 5,000. So there is the equation of the line. We have written an equation. Now explain the meaning of the slope. So the slope, 500. Okay, and that is a cost in dollars, and it's dollars per month. So that slope is $500 per month to be a member at this country club. We've explained the meaning of the slope. Now the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 5,000. Okay, and that 5,000 is dollars. So it's $5,000 to join. So that just gets you started. $5,000 to start your membership at this particular country club.